everyone. It's a wonderful Tuesday. I'm running on very low calories, so I'm going to open up a little, get a little LaCroix here. If you guys see it, got a little tangerine LaCroix. Yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, let's taste this. Let's taste this carbonated water stuff with a little bit of natural flavoring, hopefully. It tastes like I smell a tangerine. That's what it tastes like. I smell a tangerine. This is LaCroix. Also had bubbly, but yeah, I went off my fast yesterday after 2 days, and I went on a very basically keto and calorie restricted diet. Only a few hundred calories. I didn't keep exact track, but I think I kept it under 500. Basically, that's the idea. Keep it under 500. So I ate one meal yesterday, and it was very, very light. And then today I ate breakfast, and I'm going to skip lunch and eat dinner, but also quite keto and calorie restricted as well. So anyways, probably not going to be talking about my diet as much anymore, but if you measure from the top to the bottom over 4 days, I want to say 3 days, 3.5 days, 6 or 7 pounds. So for me, not the nutrition advice, but for me, it certainly achieved to drop a few pounds. I've been eating a lot of pastries. I love pastries and ice cream. Been a big Ben and Jerry's fan recently. Nothing like drown yourself in a big pint of, or a small pint of Ben and Jerry's. Wonderful flavors. I got shout out to Ben and Jerry's. I got to say, I'm drinking the LaCroix right now, but Ben and Jerry's, you're the real hero. I got to say that. So anyways, so I'm drinking today. Intermittent fast every day. Nice. Yeah, I think the easiest way to do that is at dinner time. You just don't eat dinner, or you eat a very early dinner. And if you sleep 8 or 9 hours and you eat 3 or 4 hours before bed, you get a free intermittent fast for, like 12, 16 hours there. So pretty cool, depending on, how early you eat, all that. But today's stream is not about fasting. However, it has been for the last 3.5 minutes, it seems like. Carbonated water is good for you. And I like regular water mostly, but as long as I can smell those tangerines, very little taste. That's a taste joke. What's up, Godfather J6? What's happening? UFO was landed very early. You landed a couple hours ago. It looks like I went into graphics chat and clandestine alerted about my stream just a little bit. Didn't want to be distracting, but yeah, I don't usually tweet. I don't give heads up. Yeah, I started early, didn't I? Yeah, I started a few minutes early. Like I said, if I schedule it, plus or minus 15 minutes, I may be, so I'm not late. See, I'm not late. If I tell you this ahead of time, I won't be late and I won't start early. I'll just start within plus or minus 15 minutes of the scheduled time. That's the way I like to live my life. No sense in stressing about stuff that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if I start 15 minutes late, early, doesn't matter. However, that intro was a lowered volume. Shout out to Markable, who made the media package, and he heard the feedback the other day on the outro, and he made a lower volume version. I actually had to turn my volume up because I'm used to hearing it hit so hard. So I sacrificed. I turned my volume up to make sure people get consistent volume with it. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't know. I guess that's a thing. I really want to concentrate on the content. That's why I've been ignoring it so long. And he also sent me a lower volume of the outro, which I will play today when we're finished. So should be fun. Anyways, Red Squirrel. What's happened? Welcome. DJ Bomber. I like that. I like that name. I like that. Are you you crop dusting my yield farms today? We'll be talking a lot about incentive token. Yeah, if you got anyone that hates incentive token, send them to the stream, because just to get some more objective points and conversation around it. I don't really care to have a debate, but I'll go through it. I'll go through different stuff. I feel like a lot of people who don't like it aren't farming it, and they just like PulseChain. They just wish their PulseChain PulseX bags went up. I have a feeling like that's where it kind of gets the emotional part, because tokenomics, they're not bad, in my opinion, not bad. And yeah, I don't know how many times I got to say RH doesn't make loser coins. So there's that. God, you got to tell me how to pronounce your name sometime. I never can pronounce it. Academated. Sacchaminated. I don't know, man. I don't know, but I like it. Afternoon. Afternoon to you, sir. Warfield asked, do you use nootropics or substance boost? No, I don't. I'm not saying I've never tried them before, but I don't on a daily basis. I know Jake does. I know Jake's talked about that during streams, maybe even part of Wealth Mindset too. I know he has a routine and regimen and stuff like that, but not really. Fish oil. I do fish oil. That's really good for you. Kind of like the baseline for me, it's just fish oil. I just don't want to take pills every day. It's just, I try to live a frictionless life as much as possible. So just doing that. If I don't need to take it, I won't. So there's that. Umberto, what's happening, man? Sunny Miami. I was there not too long ago for the Hex meetup, and it was certainly sunny. I had a great time. Pretty awesome. Exhibitionist, low numbers of watcher while during the bull, they all chime in. However, yours. Yeah, I know that I'm telling you, I've gave this analogy before. I think it works really well. Our primitive instinct is we need to see people do something and be successful first before we do it, which is the trap, right? Like we need to see like naturally, primitively as humans, we need to see somebody eat the apple off the tree and be okay and not throw up and not die and all this stuff before we want to eat the apple on the tree. But they just ate the apple and now they benefited. And then maybe that's the last apple, I'm trying to make this analogy for crypto. The people need to see green candles. They need to see everyone around them just loving it. But that doesn't happen until the price runs away, right? It's already went up. It's already proved it. Part of proving it is it already went up a lot. So it's not risky anymore. And without the risk, people who took the risk of the lower prices, if it's not a scam, blah, 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 they get to see the ride up. And just based on historical data, again, not financial advice. So that analogy, I think, is primitively, I myself have to overcome that. I think I have because I talk to people, in real life, even now, and I'll be like, why don't you trust Richard? Or why don't you believe this is happening? Why don't you believe, PulseX is going to go up, Hex is going to go up, all this stuff. And it's because it's down and they don't see it go up. So they don't have confidence in it. They're not positive about it. They're only positive about it after it goes up. And then again, that's when the gains are gone. So, yeah, I guess it's a good way to get like a 2X or up 50%. I guess it's a good way to play the stock market. Again, I think that is a mindset people have as well. Speaking of mindset, come tomorrow to 11:30 Pacific. We'll be doing Mad Gains Mindset with Maxim and cryptographics. Always a great one. We'll be talking more about that and other topics about mindset. But that's what people need to see. They need to see success before they do it. But in crypto and cycles and stuff, you know what happens. You don't missing out is a real thing. There's a fear of missing out and there's missing out, and both are real. So it's pretty interesting. What's up, Ju Young? What's happening, man? Let me know if you want a link. If you want to come on, let me know. I know Ju Young's been waving the ink flag lately, and I like it. It's weird to like. To me, it's such a low risk thing too. And again, not financially, nothing like that. I'm saying it's a low risk to support such a thing because it is an RH token. And what do you get if you're wrong about it? Like if you hate ink, for example, what do you get when you're like if you're right about it? That's what I meant. If it doesn't perform that well, or if it goes down or something, which again, why would it in the ecosystem? Like it is kind of, to me, it's like the beacon of health. It's like liquidity signal. It is people, new wells coming in, maybe governance and stuff like that. So what benefit is it? I mean, same thing with the hex debate too. I could say that. If you're on one side or the other and you're just driving it super hard, what benefit do you get? You only get all the hate from the other side in the short term. In the long term, no one will even remember you probably even talked about it. Or if they do, it'll just be a few people. So like, that's what I think you could apply that to every single thing that we don't know enough about, but people want to take positions on. Like anything we don't know the future about, but someone takes a strong position either way. What benefit is there doing that? Like I guess there is, real world change and other examples that would be helpful, or, you could look back on or be a leader in that area or something. But in crypto, I don't see the benefit. That's why, I don't know, people get caught up in in one side or the other, I'm just like, if you don't know, if you're literally the person who does know isn't telling you, or it's not knowable, I try not to take a firm stance on it. I'm just like, yeah, let's see what happens. I can come up with a guess, but I'm not going to like shout at other people about it, that kind of thing. So just in general, I'm speaking about anything that's not knowable. Again, it's got to be knowable and important. If it's not knowable, why am I talking about it? If it's not important, why do I care about it? If it's both of those things, then we can reason and come up with opinions on it. That's the way I think about it. At least that's I think it's a Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger type of way. Anyways, Julian, what's happening, man? Footsteps, welcome. Yeah, I'm about to bring up PulseX here in a second. Which LPs are providing liquidity? I do not talk about my positions or bags or stuff. But have you noticed the APR calculations are wrong on the side on PulseX? I have not noticed that. I don't know how we would even know that because they fluctuate. They could go one way or another, and we haven't had a year yet. So if the APR calculations are wrong, I think it's not that I wouldn't say they're wrong. I would say that they are an estimate that changes a lot. So they're not something I would use to, I wouldn't retire and be like, oh, well, look, I'm making 300% and I'm getting, 30K a day. I'm some whale, right? And I'm like, I'm making 30K a day. I'm going to retire now because the APR is 400%. I wouldn't use them for stuff like that because they wouldn't be accurate for that kind of time scale. So, Julian wants to come on. Cool. Yeah, I'll shoot you a link in just a minute. Let me get through the chat and I grow crops, Max. Nice. Shout out to farmers. If it's crypto or if it's real farmers, you guys are awesome. Like when you're making new stuff, feeding people, that's a good thing to do. Free speech says, I wonder yield will get down until we get on the farms. I stay away from farming a lot. I wonder the yield will get down till on the farms. I'm not sure I understand. I stay away from farming a lot. Man, I kind of wish I would have got in when they had the 1,000% on some of these that are kind of, settled in the hundreds. I guess that's the thing I wish I would have done over. I would have got in, I did some farms I did, and then ink went to like $17, and when something does a 3 or 4x, you're like, no way it goes to $80. So I think that surprised a lot of people. Yeah. Anyways, let me send you a link so we can hop on. And I'll continue. I thought about sending it to you earlier, but I didn't know your schedule. I didn't want to be like putting any pressure or anything, but I know you like you're high on ink. So I would like to talk about both sides. I really do. I want to hear why people aren't. Again, send this to anyone who does not like ink, and let's hear it. They can get on the chat, or if they want to come on stream, let me know too, and we can have a discussion. I don't have a debate. I just want to have a discussion of like, here's the advantages, here's the disadvantages. Like, what are the risks? What are the things we're seeing that looks good? All that stuff. Ink is BTC. LP replaces mining instead of dumping to cover electrical costs. People dump to cover permanent loss. Huh. That's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah, Red Squirrel. I thought about that way. Ink is BTC. A lot of things are BTC though, and it replaces certain things like Hex. Hex is a better Bitcoin stuff too. But yeah, I like that way of thinking about it actually. What's up, Steve? Good. I know. There's a PulseChain tours in Portland this weekend, and I cannot make it, but I know a lot of Seattle people are going down there, so that's awesome. You guys have a great time. Send pics, and yeah, we'll see you all in 2 or 3 weeks for lots and lots of fun up here too. People dump because it's easy, free money. They didn't have to earn it. Are you saying because they are earning ink by providing LP and risking the impermanent loss and otherwise? And then a lot of people roll it into the other ink farms, or they roll it into. That's another thing. It's a positive feedback. I'm gonna go through all this stuff with Juyoung, but it's a positive feedback loop. It's to me, it's all right. Let's bring him in. Without further ado, Juyoung, what's happening, man? Cannot hear Juyoung yet, but I'm sure he will figure out the.
Oh, hey, sorry about that. I think I had my mic on mute.
That will do it, man. That will do it. How's it going?
Yeah, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty good.
I'm just drinking some LaCroix. It smells like tangerine. It doesn't taste like tangerine that much, but it smells like it.
Yeah, I've been big into hop tea. I like those carbonated drinks.
I do not. I'm the opposite side. I'm drinking it because I need to distract myself from eating, and because I'm winding down my fast and my low calorie mission I went on the last few days. So I do not enjoy it.
How did that go? I think I mentioned I was on keto for like 2 months. It's
Oh, nice.
Yeah, interesting to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah, I was on keto for I want to say a year or so before. So I definitely am familiar with it and all the stuff. And I was like buying all the snacks and doing all that stuff and the high fat, low carb and low sugar type thing. So it was great. I loved it. And then I kind of went away from it and I went to more of a low calorie, and I still picked up a lot of good habits. So, I stopped eating bread. I still eat pastries, but like I wouldn't eat like a sandwich. Usually I'd eat like a wrap, like a low carb wrap instead of a sandwich, for example. I got away from pasta. I got away from just different stuff like that. And so it gave me a lot of good habits. And then I just went on a fast this week for a couple of days, and I'm transitioning from the fast. Yesterday, I stopped fasting, went to low calorie keto. I'm going to do that for today and maybe tomorrow. But the only thing I don't like about it is the energy. Like I feel like today, especially low calorie, I don't have a lot of energy, and it's annoying.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that's kind of like at first, right? It's hard at first when you start the fasting, but later on it's like you just get like the second wind of energy. At least that's how it felt with keto. I don't know how you were able to do that for a year. 2 months was good enough experience for me.
Yeah. No, I mean keto I integrated in my lifestyle pretty well, and I picked up a lot of good habits, like I said. But fasting, I know people say, oh, first 2 days are the hardest. After that, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't have. I don't feel like I need to fast for a week. I don't need to fast for 3 or 4 days. I just wanted to. Maybe I'll do it again sometime. Maybe I'll go on a retreat and just like where I'm away from food. It's just harder when you got family and stuff too. It's harder.
Oh yeah, like that was the hardest part, right? Because my wife was like, "Why aren't you eating my food?"
I know. Like, so there's more factors on this, and I'm like, is it worth it? Maybe later I'll try it when I like go with my bros on a retreat somewhere, and we just like you eat what you kill. Maybe it's that type of thing that could be fun, or nothing. We'll see. But anyway, Crafted Graphics limoncello. I have limoncello, and it actually is one of my favorite flavors, but they're all garbage to me. However, if I have to drink them, I like the coconut pineapple, limoncello, and tangerine's not bad. I'll say tangerine's all right. But anyways, let's the chat is full of ink. People have a lot of ink stuff. They like or they hate ink.
Yes.
Let me pull this up because I want to start us out on this thread. I know, and it includes some of the stuff you talked about too, which I think is a great way to get into it. So I'll get back to the chat. I know chat's got some questions. I'll get back to them in a few minutes. I just want to get into this. So let's see. Yeah, so I'll get to that in a minute too. And then this is interesting. So this is the talk to Axis and Sloth and Crispy on the stream last week.
Yeah.
And I posted the video here. If you haven't watched it yet, everyone, I'll put the link to this in the chat, and you can watch the video. But we go through Axis and Sloth, and folks go through a lot of stuff that they like about it, why they think it's important, all that stuff. And then what really struck me was yesterday I saw this comment on a thread, and I was like, whoa, like this is very interesting. So this is a screenshot, and I'll actually go to the link here in a second because I found out where it was. I messaged Igor. Shout out to Igor. I messaged him. I was like, hey, where did you find this? Because I was looking at the contract, but I couldn't find it. And I'll show you all how I found it in a minute. But this was a note that is ownable, and the owner wields tremendous power. The ownership will be transferred to a governance smart contract once ink is sufficiently distributed and community can govern itself. Whoa, where was that 2 or 3 weeks ago? That would be good to know. for everyone, right?
I looked in the contract. I didn't see that at first either. So I just saw this pop up like the past like what day or two.
Yeah, yeah. Again, shout out to Igor, and I found it. So I messaged him, and he's like, "Oh, you got to look at the owner contract." So that's when I went here, and so this is, let's see, this is the, oh, well, I want to show people. Let me go to the first one first because I want to be like how you can actually find this. So INC, oh, come on. It's a little slow. It's got to do the human thing. Okay, I believe it's this one. And then if you go to contract and you look at code, then it just shows you incentive. It shows you, different parts of the contract. But if you search for, like this is an interesting part as well. But if you search for tremendous, or you search for, this part, the master chef, can't find it. And so I asked him, and he's like, oh, you got to go to the owner contract. And to find that, you go to read contract, and then you go to owner. And so if you go to the owner contract, then you can see, and you go to the code, you can see the comment, the very first, the first 10, 20 lines, master chef, biggest change is, per second instead of per block for rewards, all that stuff. Very, very cool. And you can see the original comment. Now there's even more details, and that's why this is fun, because I know a lot of people, if you can't see, you can't read code and stuff, that you won't be able to understand like the code portion, but the comments are English. So if you can understand English, you can read the comments and kind of draw stuff from there. So Juyung, have you looked at any of these before? Are you familiar with that? I kind of just cursorily looked at them this morning, but I just want to make sure this was like a real deal. But have you looked at it yet?
I haven't looked at the owner contract. I did look at the incentive contract, and they do have like delegate functions in there where it checks the balance of the wallet to see how much ink they have, and that's like their delegated voting power.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in line with what you're seeing there in that contract as well. So that kind of got me excited and a little bit bullish as well on ink. I was a little bit worried there, I'm not going to lie, because it was like the ratio was kind of going down, but I think it really provided a good buying opportunity. So I've been mostly converting my ink rewards into like PulseX and just like growing my bag slowly until I'm comfortable with it. But I think with the revelations from this contract, I might actually consider holding on to my ink rather than swapping out for something else at this point.
Well, that's the cool thing about it, is there are multiple options. And I talked about this in a thread before too, of, you could, a lot of people, I imagine, are doing like they're earning the ink in some pool, and then they're rolling it into the ink pools. There's an ink, let's see, I'll bring it up here. Yeah, there's the ink PLS, there's an ink PLSX. So, if you're earning from the other farms, for example, one thing you can do, not financial advice, one thing you can do is, you earn it here, whatever you get, or earn it here, you earn it the hex PLS, whatever. And then after you harvest it and you get to an amount that you want to put it in, then you just can keep adding to your position on these other ones. And you just keep, you're holding ink, and then permanent loss can go back and forth based on PLS price and ink price and the ratios. But it's still a way to earn ink on your ink, and you're sort of recycling it. You're providing liquidity, and you're not selling it, but you're also, you got to put up the same amount on PLS and PLSX. So that's the only thing. You got to have enough to keep rolling it into that. But that's one way to hang on to it and earn more ink on your ink. And then the other is just, like you said, if you wanted to trade it for PLSX, if you wanted DCA style and just earn ink and then keep buying PLS, earn ink, keep buying hex, PLSX, whatever you want, you can use ink as a DCA strategy as well.
I mean, so how I took it was, I'm in a position right now. I can't afford to reroute some of my finances from my bills to directly to the bridge and buy this stuff with my paycheck. But what Ink has allowed me to do is it's allowed me to use the stuff we received from our sacrifice to basically create a stream of income that allows me to DCA without having to actually, put undue financial burden on my family. So it's been a huge blessing. And the way I view it too is it's like, so the APRs, they're paid out in ink. So if the ink is like $20 today, it was like $70 a couple weeks ago. If it goes back up, if it goes down, whatever, basically, I mean, what it says, maybe I'm earning like $300 or $100 a day in today's APR calculation, but in the future, that $100 or $300 could actually end up being like $1,000 or $3,000 because the price has appreciated, you know.
Exactly. Like we don't know what the price is going to be in the future. Like I said, I've seen it go from, I think $4 was what I remember seeing at the first few days of launch. And then I saw it go to 17, and then it was real quick. It was like 50 and then 70 and then 80. I was
Yeah,
like,
we touched
whoa.
80. That was crazy.
Yeah. And then it, went back down 50s and 40s and 30s, and it's in the 20s right now. But it's, if you're buying it, I think that's the difference here. If you're earning it versus buying it. So I haven't heard a lot of people say to buy the token, but I think maybe that's what, that's what I want to talk about too. Like, what are the cases against Ink token? I mean, we keep uncovering all this bullish stuff around it. And it's like, what are the cases against it? What are the cases of it not performing well anymore? Or it's not like it's going to go away. It is an integral part of PulseX. It is the piece that, incentivizes all the liquidity and all the, maybe, a lot of people talked about Richard's grand plan. The prophecy is, the pairs of PulseChain and Ethereum being liquidity bonded, giving them both price, bringing a lot of people in, and moons and all that stuff from there. How can you do that with ink not being worth very much?
Yeah. Well, I think there is some considerable risk, to buying ink, right? Because there's inherent sell pressure just in the fact that people are earning ink and then swapping it for whatever token that they want or DCAing into PulseX or whatever. So there is always that sell pressure. The upside, I think, to buying ink, especially like right now while the price is kind of low, is that the ink pools are actually some of the ones with the higher APR right now. And so, like for me, what my strategy is, I'm in the ink PulseX pool, and if ink suddenly becomes super popular and increases in value, I get more PulseX. That works for me because I'm very bullish on PulseX personally. And if PulseX pumps, I get more ink. And if ink is going to be used for some sort of a governance smart contract for deciding which pairs get ink in the future, or maybe like an ink multiplier. Who knows what Richard Hart will use, ink for, or what it'll be used in the smart contract. But I feel like either way, I would be okay, you know. And at the end of the day, if I'm taking my ink, harvesting it, and putting it into PulseX and securing my position in PulseX with my ink rewards, and suddenly PulseX goes up in price, so there's some impermanent loss there, right? But because I've been putting my ink rewards into PulseX, it kind of offsets that, and then yeah, and then I'm still just continuing earning ink. So if ink were to suddenly just pump, then that's fine too, because I'm still earning ink. So for me, I feel like that pair is kind of like a no-brainer. Obviously not financial advice, just in my own opinion, but there's definitely some risk associated to just buying ink off the market. But I think I saw some tweets saying that there were some pretty big ink buys just recently.
Yeah,
So
that's I'll bring that up too. I just wanted to show people too. I mean, again, this is APR based on current rates. It goes up and down, the price of ink goes up and down, blah blah blah. But this is a pretty cool calculator to at least give you a snapshot of what it would look like, even 10K, if you're providing both sides, Inc. and WPLS pool at, what is 200 some percent right now. I mean, this is, $65 a day, 7, the whales though, let's put, what is that? Is that $1 million? 1, 2, 3, yeah. $1 million, $6K a day. If you're providing liquidity at the current rates, that's, you could see how this could be attractive with people who have bags. That's why I think a lot of people who don't have the bags to provide the liquidity, maybe they're not even incentivized to understand it because they're not going to participate, right? So like it's easy to come up with arguments of why a coin is, you're to not support a coin if you're not going to participate or otherwise. So I've heard a lot of people say, talk about it as they're not participating or they don't like it one way or another. And it's interesting to see that maybe they're focused on other coins or putting their capital otherwise. But I think the tokenomics is not the thing I would be concerned about. It doesn't concern me. And statements like this is like, whoa, like I need to start looking at the code of these contracts more often to define these gems, because that seems to be a signal of future things that the incentive token could be used for. And we talked about Tetra. Well, I've heard about Tetra staking Inc. and on all kinds of things they're going to do too. So there's a lot of reasons for me to be bullish on Inc. And like you said here, increasing your bags, being able to get liquidity just by farming and stuff like that's pretty cool. I think that solves a problem for a lot of people too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, the problem is I've got a bunch of financial things that I'm dedicated to, and bills and things like that I'm tied up in. Inc. has essentially provided a way for me to DCA without having to sacrifice my family's current, living situation, or sacrifice bills or this and that. So for me, Inc. is like a godsend. It's been absolutely amazing. And in 25 days, I calculated. I didn't even start doing LP when the launch first happened. It took me like maybe a week. So it's been 25 days since launch, and the results have just been incredible for me.
I think that it was my biggest surprise on launch too. Like I think the APR, the Genesis validators burning the first 4,096 validators burning their fees was a surprise. Like that was cool. But once I saw the farms and I really got into it, understood it, whoa, this is a place where people are putting capital, making high APR. It's been working on a month now, and there's still farms with hundreds of percent APR going on. So I don't know how long it's going to last. It could go way down. Again, I'm not making any like big financial decisions around any of this, or I'm not trusting these numbers to stay there. I'm not trusting the Inc. price to not go down another 50%. Totally could. Anything is possible. I just think there's enough incentives to make people participate, and enough whales who, again, if they want to have voting power later on, or they want to just keep compounding it and DCA into the other coins. I'm struggling to find ways that again, if you have enough capital and you're okay with all the risks, again, know all that stuff ahead of time. I'm struggling to find reasons for me not to participate myself, at least.
Yeah, and like so I mean, of course, with impermanent loss, the importance is like, is the price ratio between the two when you got into the liquidity providing, is it changed a lot? And with the pairs that are currently on the farms, the majority of them, they're highly bonded. It looks like, if you look at the chart, all of the patterns, all the charting looks very, very similar. So it's like when the ecosystem goes up, it's like everything kind of moves in step. There is some variation in the ratio, but it hasn't been huge, at least from what I've experienced. So that at least makes me feel comfortable, a little bit more comfortable.
I've got, at first I was like, I'll try a little bit, see what happens. And then each day I'm like, whoa. Like again, for me, no, not financial advice for anyone out there, but for me, it was extremely attractive, and I don't see a lot of downside. I think I've wrapped my head around a permanent loss enough to feel comfortable participating. And that's why I think it's so interesting. Just want to get to chat too. There's some questions in here. Can't get to all of them today, everyone, but wanted to get to a couple. Diehard Mexican, appreciate you. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's I'll be taking a break next week. I probably won't be streaming at all, or very, very little next week. So I'm trying to get in a few this week. That would be good. Let's see. I remember the stream where we were planning for PulseChain and we overlooked INC on something. I definitely did not see. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put myself in back then, back so long ago, 1 month ago. Was I even thinking about INC? I don't even remember even talking about it. I don't. What about you? Do you remember even like going through any of the deep diving on it at all?
No, I don't recall. It was kind of on my radar since testnet, but I don't think I really talked about it until mainnet hit.
John Kim says, at what percent is yield considered steady in your eyes? I wouldn't consider anything steady over here, because even this one, even that was 60 or 70% just a week ago, I want to say, and now it's down to 38, and liquidity's actually dropped too. That was, I think it's hovered. I think it might have got up to 150K or 150 mil, but APR has went down a lot. I think a lot of people are probably moving. I don't know. It seemed like they were moving from the other ones to come here. You know, some stuff was going back and forth on the bridge, I guess. You know, these APRs, I know, WBTC used to be like 1,000% or something crazy. And then it's dropped. It was 600% for a long time. Now it's down to under 4. And then we had other pairs, we had EXPX on there, and that triggered a whole thing too. So I don't know. In my opinion, I don't. I expect these to change every day. I look at it. I'm like, every day, I expect number to go up, number to go down, incentive token number to go up, number to go down, and that's why I'm not making a bunch of decisions around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's also been.
It was like 2,000. What, like 2,000% was what most of the pools started out with at launch.
Yeah, it was very, very tasty, very incentivizing. So many puns on this one. Incredible. It's hard to even have a conversation with that. Let's see. Extravagant Taste says, to me, I'll treat ink like I view cake, nothing more than a vehicle to pay interest if certain exchange expects at some point reservation accumulate. Well, I guess it depends on what I don't know. If you care about having this kind of power, if you care about, I don't know. I think if I'm earning a token, I guess I'll think about it like this. If I'm earning a token by taking on risk, and that can be a permanent loss risk, but depending on how much you have and how much you can earn, maybe it makes up for it, blah, blah, blah. You got to figure out that on your own. If I'm earning something for free and it keeps paying me to keep compounding it, or it gives me more of a token that I like, and it's bonded with the other coins through liquidity and through RH ecosystem. It's one of his coins. If this wasn't one of Richard's coins, I don't think I would have as much faith in it either. I'd be like, yeah, it's a cool idea. I like the token. I would still like the tokenomics, but I wouldn't be as nearly high as I am on it as I would be if it was Richard's coin, because I know he's going to, like, he doesn't make loser tokens. Just like 1,000 things we could say about that, but it's here. Like, it's not going to go away. So ink's just not going to go away one day. So I don't know. I think there's a difference in earning and buying it. But if you're earning it, if I'm earning it, like I said, I don't think we can say any more than it's been fun earning it, Juan, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously because of that sell pressure, it's kind of risky to buy. But as you see in that contract there, so if the owner changes, right, to some sort of a governance smart contract, and then Inc has a function, we don't know what that function is yet. All we know is that it's hinted that the owner will wield tremendous power, right? So, I mean, it could have some sort of crazy, amazing functionality, and just the token could just go wild. There could be whales in the system that like maybe DGen whales or something in the system that want a peep farm. I don't know. Maybe they want that voting power to start a farm, if that is one of the powers that the smart contract would have. How would they get their ink? They would have to market buy it, and they would have to market buy a lot because there's a lot of holders. So to me, I feel like that's really bullish. But we'll see. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So
That's a good point. Good point. Crystal says, I'm farming assets to believe increasing value. Yeah, that's the thing about Inc too. If you believe PulseChain, PulseX, the Richard Heart tokens hex are going to go up in value. I mean, why would Inc be left behind? Maybe Inc won't do the 10,000x, 1,000x, 100x, whatever your meme is for it, but it's staying low and it not tracking with the other ones, that would seem strange for me. I would not predict that. Let's see. What are the prospects for PRC20 free copies? But yeah, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I know there was a thread I think I saw on Twitter. Somebody was tweeting at me about the WBTC, the P copy of it, and basically referencing Richard's whole plan for the liquidity bonding for the P pairs and E pairs. Do you think there will be certain pairs, even WBTC, that I just can't see parity, but like this part of me is like, what if something like that happened? Like, what would that even, I guess, what would it achieve? I guess maybe that's a question. What would the bonding achieve for the ecosystem? Is it just like a validation that coins are worth something on here and to participate? Or I guess what would that do for the ecosystem if WBTC were to reach parity or even like an interesting discount with the wrap version from Ethereum?
So is the wrap version from Ethereum can be unwrapped for a BTC on the Bitcoin network? I'm not too familiar with wrap BTC.
Yeah, it just makes it an ERC20 token. So it's redeemable from the Ethereum network. That's why the P copy wouldn't be redeemable. But there was a farm. Let me check. I thought there was a farm going on about this. Let's see. BTC. I think somebody is. WETH. I thought there was a pool doing this or a farm before.
Yeah. So there was one if you go to the farms and you go to finished, there is one in the finished, but I only know about the one that's active. I haven't looked too much in the one that's finished.
Okay.
But I would imagine that But I would imagine if they reach parity, that would be even more bullish for PulseChain, right? Because then users from outside the PulseChain system would see it reach price parity over on PulseChain. They would probably be looking for arbitrage opportunities or things like that. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about pairing the bridged copies.
That's the wild card for me is any of these. It could be WBTC or it could be Link or whatever. Any of them. Yeah, I think that's I feel like it's not impossible, but it's one of those like wild cards of wow, if that happened and whoever got in early and took that risk, again, you get rewarded if you're right. Most people are wrong though, right? That would be interesting.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't like to take chances on non Richard Heart tokens because I've had very bad experiences with them. Not that some of them are not good opportunities. I don't know which ones would be, but definitely over the long term, liquidity providing on V1 in a farm has more than enough proven to me that it's probably one of the best investments for me personally. So. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. I said Fox Modder Ju Young sounds like a voice modulated Matty Allen. Like
that's like the second or third comment I've seen where somebody said that.
Really? That's funny. I never thought about it, but I guess if I try to hear Matty's voice, I guess maybe I do. Red Squirrel says the clickening. Yes, it is very much the. See, that's what makes it feel weird too, because you don't have to do. If you have the capital and you participate, then you literally click like 5 buttons every time you want to harvest and reload and put it back in the contract or roll it over. It's really it almost makes it feel less legitimate because you're not doing the work other than, I mean, you're not doing, I don't know, you're not like looking at charts, you're not trying to time things. You're just like, yeah, I will do something with this if I want. And then maybe you roll it into another thing, or maybe you just harvest it and DCA. It is funny how it is the clicking in a way. Let's see, scrolling. Sorry, I can't get to everything. Chad is lively. What's up, Crypto Compassion? Good to see you, man. Graphic says bullish on ink by the day, Sacred 6. There you go. I listen to Graphics a lot. I will say that. I like the way he talks about a lot of things. Let's see. Extravagant says Ink's token bull spike was to 80 was largely due to initial funding of all the LP pairs included Ink. One wants to start Ink pair. That's what I was wondering, how it got to 80. Was it literally just was it people buying it because, I guess maybe, yeah, that's what I don't understand. How did it get to $80, Julian? You have any ideas?
Yeah, I mean, it had to be the market buy pressure, but
Yeah.
let me just take a look at the chart on pulseburn.com. They've got the volume on the bottom. We can kind of see, like, maybe there was a bunch of buy volume.
Yeah, I mean, technically speaking, more people bought it than selling, but it's like the idea that it would go from $4 to 80, was it just a big FOMO event?
No, I mean, it looks like there was some buying. I mean, I'm not 100% sure. Some of these other guys in our ecosystem are very good at explaining like why price goes up, why it goes down, how it moves. I mean, we see like this huge spike over, just recently, that $1 million buy or whatever, and
That's
the
what I was going to
price
find.
did not pump as much as the smaller buys at first. But then again, there was less supply as well. So, it's hard to say for sure. But one thing that I do know is that there's a lot of liquidity between Pulse and Inc, PulseX and Inc, and just between all the Richard Hart tokens in general. And I think that liquidity bonding helps to pull the value of Inc up as the other tokens go up as well. So, but that again, that is just that's kind of like my own opinion. So there's no guarantee that the price would continue to go up if Pulse and PulseX went up. But at least from what I've seen on the charts is that they're very similar. And I contribute that to partly due to Hart's law and the, high bonding between the liquidity pairs.
Yep. Free Speech Inc. price was performance surprised how people dump it. Maybe at ETH pool. I was wrong. You weren't the only one. Free Speech. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to put myself in the frame before I realized it was interesting enough to participate in. I think I just thought that, yeah, it would be this dump thing. I didn't think. I always push back against the dump for everything. I'm like, this thing has to have value somehow. I don't know how. I don't know what the price performance is going to do, but I think that it will have value, but I had no idea it would have like the powerful. Is it because it's in the narrative of like LP is so critical and so important to PulseX and the ecosystem that it kind of has to have value? If it doesn't have value, then people aren't going to provide liquidity, and everything's going to be less good in the ecosystem. Is that like at a high level, the macro value is that what it is?
Well, so I mean, if you think about it, so we've got version 1 and version 2 now, right? So we know that version 1 is 100% buy and burn for PulseX, and version 2 is where the LP fees are earned for other tokens or whoever is trading on that. I'm doing version 1, but if Inc loses its value proposition, or if it goes down in value significantly, and you're finding people are finding that, yeah, it's really not worth participating in a farm or providing liquidity, that incentivizes people to move over to version 2, because at least there they can earn LP fees, So you can see some of these LP rewards are pretty decent. This is version 2. So there is, if you've got a significant slice of the pie, and you can see the volume is another factor too. So if we're making what it was like 0.22% or something like that on, a couple 100,000 trades a day, if you're providing enough liquidity, that might make sense. For everyone else, I think the benefit of having ink and the farms far outweighs the benefit of earning LP fees on V2. And as a side bonus, it's 100% buy and burn for PulseX, so that also pumps up anybody who's holding that token as well.
Yeah, I just want to point out the so far the premier meme token on PulseChain. Funny enough, it's got at least the reward fees and the APR and the volume. It's pretty crazy. It's hard to think straight. Nice, I like that. It's incredible. Yes, inclusive.
With a
K. yeah, with a K. Inclusive. I think it's pretty exclusive, actually, Red Squirrel. I'm gonna go with exclusive on this one because you gotta provide LP to get it, or you buy it off the street. But I know what you mean. Hit the like, you 149 watching now, or leave. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the support. Joe says buying ink allows you to purchase someone else in permanent loss risk and juice up being pairing farms. That is, I like the way Sloth put it. You're buying risk. It's like kind of like ink is like monetized risk. It's like this risk that people took on, and now you have it, and now later on, perhaps it's a governance token. Compared, just looking at the comments and stuff. Do we just compound, hold our freshly farmed ink, or do we DC sell some down? The right play is for whatever you decide. That's two things that I see people doing, or I've heard of people doing in some way. It is, compound it by putting it into another ink farm, or selling it, DCAing into the other blue chips.
Yeah, I've done all three of those. So,
There you go. Just going down. We'll wrap up here in a second. Great conversation, though. Great conversation. I wanted to cover. That's why I wanted to. This is a new segment, what I'm watching, and it happened to be mostly about ink today, ink and PulseX, because that's the question. Like, what else is going on? Like, what else you watch? What are you watching, Juyun, in the ecosystem? What's interesting other than the farms?
For me, it's just been like 100% the farms. If I'm doing anything, I'm like on that farms page, like what's my APR today? So one thing I like to do is in the farms, it's like it shows your US dollar value you have, and then I click on the little calculator button and I type in that US dollar value to see like, okay, this is what I can expect over a day, 7 days, 30 days, 5 years if the rate stays the same, which it won't, most likely, but I'm always on that page. It's like it's an addiction at this point.
If we have hundreds of percent APR for at least the blue chips and the ink pairs and stuff over 5 years, if that stayed hundreds of percent, that would be incredible. Yeah. That may be we may be overtaking Ethereum or something if that happened. Like, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would be unlikely, but amazing if it did happen.
Ben Jerry, shout out to Ben and Jerry's. I definitely enjoy your ice cream. On testnet, ink got to 30K. Yeah, people are talking about that. I'm like, I don't think, I would not consider that a signal. I think, okay, I'll say this. If it did really well, I don't know. It's like, do you think the whales are on testnet doing this stuff? And if they are, yeah, maybe it's a kind of a signal if it's overperforming, but is it a signal enough for you to, like, I'm weighting that like 10 or 20% of my decision. Like, I'm not considering that, like, I'm not going to go look at any token and be like, oh, on testnet, it went to the moon. It's probably going to do the same. I think there's something there, but I don't weight it very much in my decision. But what do you think, June?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last part?
How much would you weight? Yeah, how much would you weight a testnet coin doing well into what it would do on mainnet?
I think there were some trends like the ratio between Pulse to PulseX that were kind of indicative. People wanted to test out their strategies. I think the
The
price of
ratio
ink,
of that.
yeah, I think the price of ink was probably a combination of that and people just kind of curious about the incentive token, and then a lot of people probably just DCAing into the ink farms, trying to get that high APR on testnet. And then of course there was two. I think like wasn't there something like 5 billion DAI or something like that of value brought into the testnet to help, so it's kind of like, yeah, I don't remember, but there was like some sort of a stable coin or a certain amount of stable coin that helped provide like some sort of a reference, a value reference for the tokens. So yeah, I don't know if it'll get up to 29,000, but if it does, I'll be very happy. Uh, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, here's another good question too. Where should you swap? V1 or V2? I came across this yesterday and I was going to do a swap and I forgot which one I was on. And I was about to get hit with some slippage on a very common pair. I don't remember which one it was. A very common pair. And I was like, what? And then I looked and saw I was on V2. So I think what I remember yesterday, V1 has a lot of the liquidity, or one of those has more liquidity on certain pairs, because I went to the other one, maybe it's V1, and it was like, yeah, swap went through no problem. So that's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out. Like, where are people going to put it?
Yeah, I think the takeaway from the V1 V2 is that the majority of the ink farm liquidity, so liquidity between those pairs that are currently have farms open, they're going to be probably, you're going to get a better deal on V1 because that's where all the liquidity is. On V2, all the non-Richard Hart tokens and stuff like that, where people want to earn their LP fees that they don't necessarily have a farm where they're earning ink, you're probably going to get a better value on V2 when you do the trade because they probably have more liquidity on version 2 because they want to make that LP fee. What I've done is I've had like two browsers open side by side, one with V1, one with V2, and I just compared like the same swap, like, which is the better deal, and then I just went with that.
Yeah, I was just okay, press and 100%. I was just going to test it out real quick. So 100, this, and then let me do this one and switch to V. Let's see, I'm on V2 there. Okay, switch to V1. I'll do the same DAI with BTC. And then, so you see which one. So V1 has liquidity for this pair at least, and other ones, I imagine. And then this one, yeah, you try to do 10,000, try to do 100,000. Going to have a bad day if you like money, it seems like. Interesting. Your DAI goes farther on V1 if you want wrap Bitcoin. Very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and again, that's only for the pairs that have ink farms. So I think that everybody else who doesn't have an ink farm probably has more incentive to provide liquidity on V2 because they don't have a farm, they're not earning ink, and they want to earn that LP fees to kind of offset their impermanent loss. So
Well,
I
that's the
think if
question.
you're not doing the main tokens, probably V2.
Is that when do you think there will be farms on V2? I guess is what we're waiting on.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to say. They said there. I think Richard Hart had a tweet where he implied like there may or may not be, depends on where the community is providing the most liquidity. So maybe if everybody from version 1 in the community just suddenly pulled their liquidity and moved it to version 2, that would incentivize whoever is running the back end of PulseX to maybe open up a farm to incentivize that. But I think the community has been very vocal, at least in a lot of the tweets that I've seen, that they are actually supportive of the 100% buy and burn, and they wanted to keep it here. And I think having the ink farms here offset the lack of LP fees, is enough incentive for people to really want to just stay on V1.
Interesting. Yeah, that's something that. Yeah, I mean, it's in the self-interest part. You would want farms on V2 because you want the LP fees and the ink. But what if it becomes like V1 is for ink and V2 is for LP? Do you think that's how it'll shake out?
I mean, it's hard to say. There may be a point at some point where the farms get moved to version, V2 or whatever. Again, we don't know what the incentive token is going to be used for them, and if there is a governance contract or something like that, and the ink holders have enough ink to vote, I mean, they could potentially vote opening up farms on version 2, So it's hard to see how it'll shake out, but at the moment, I don't think anybody's keen on leaving the V1 farms because ink has just been amazing.
So that's the I guess the two most likely possibilities. Either one, the farms will stay on V1 with ink and LP fees on V2, or the farms will move to, or I guess either move or I guess the market would probably move a lot of the farms if they were available on V2. They would move, a lot of the farms would probably move there because people would be making both the LP and the INC for it.
Exactly. Yep. And then of course there's always people who want 100% buy and burn, but without earning INC to kind of to offset the the impermanent loss, I can't really see that even people who are hardcore supporters of 100% buy and burn, I think it would be hard for them to want to stay as a liquidity provider in V1 unless there was like some sort of an incentive, like the incentive token.
Right. We're gonna see how benevolent the community is going to be, or what they value. Do they value more buy and burn? Do they value the LP fees? That's the cool thing about this, man. Like I like the way Richard's handling it. I honestly like to see. I think he's just waiting to see what people are going to do, what they value, and kind of it's almost like he's going to decide what's going to happen, but he's looking for feedback. I think with all these moves, there's no fast moves, or if they are, there's no fast fixes, right? There's only fast changes afterwards. There's this, hey, let's see how this works. Maybe it's cool. Let's turn the bug into a feature, right? Let's see see how it works.
Well, if that was the case, then I feel like he's been really successful at that because it's been absolutely incredible. Even with the V1 and V2, and there's all that FUD with like, oh, bug or whatever, and everybody was freaking out. Even in that entire storm, I feel like Richard Hart and PulseX came out on top. Like nobody was phased. Hardly any of the liquidity moved to version 2. Everybody was supportive of version 1. So except for again the non-Richard Hart tokens, which I understand. V2 may be like the premier non-Richard Hart token, DEX exchange.
Yeah, I think we gotta move on to something. I made a tweet the other day. It's like it takes what was it? It takes 3 days for something new to happen, or 6 days for everyone to forget what they were arguing about, and 9 days for something to come back around and have a new thing to fight about. And we moved on from PXEX, I guess, largely to the V1, V2, and excited to see what's next. Excited to see. MMM, at what share of the pool does it become worthwhile again as LP fees? I don't know. For me, like how do I think about which ones I'm interested in participating? I think it depends if I have a bag of it. And I think I'm definitely more interested in if it's, 50, 100% versus if it's 12%. I've seen some stuff like some of the Hedron pools. I'm like, am I going to leave it in here for 12% or I'm going to stake Hedron, stuff like that. So I think there's definitely, don't forget, you can stake a lot of these coins too. They have the native features. You can use them in different ways. There's going to be platforms launching, fiat and otherwise, where you can, there's the amount of yield and the ways to make yield in this ecosystem is one of the most powerful things I've ever seen in my life. It is.
Yeah.
So good.
And don't forget too, like if there's the risk of impermanent loss, right? So if you're only making 12% LP fees, if you're expecting that Pulse is going to get a bunch of onboards, it's going to do great in price action, maybe for the short term, Hedron does not. Maybe it will in the long term, but if you're looking in the short term, maybe it makes more sense to hold on to your position in Hedron, or maybe Hedron is the one that's going to pump. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's something that Alex is going to put out there that's going to rock Hedron or Icosa's world, and it's going to, So in that case, and maybe Pulse is kind of relatively flat compared to that. In that case, it might make more sense to just hold on the token instead of providing liquidity. If you're only making 12%, like if it goes up 50% and you only made like 12% because of impermanent loss, so it's
Yep.
you got to make the decision, I guess. It's a risk.
Question from John Kim: what's the move when the APR and the yield farms lowers by a lot and other coins have yet to reach parity? You want to take that one, Jigo?
What's the move when the APR on the yield farm lowers by a lot and the other coins have yet to reach parity? So I guess it depends. Are you talking about providing liquidity for between like Ethereum and PulseChain pairs? I guess that one's a hard one to answer, but I mean, there's the risk of impermanent loss, right? Which I just kind of talked about. If the APR that you're getting from the farm doesn't make sense, like if you think like, yeah, okay, if Pulse or PulseX or whatever token that I'm holding is going to go up in value very soon, maybe it makes more sense for you to just hold that token rather than risk missing that for 150% or something like that. So it's like you got to kind of calculate the risk that you're willing to take on your own. Nobody has a crystal ball. Nobody knows what'll happen. It is risky but if things stay relatively the same, or if they move in sync together, like let's say you have two heavily bonded pairs like Pulse and PulseX, or like Pulse and INC. I think Pulse and PulseX is probably the most liquidity bonded pair right now, right? They're going to probably move in sync together. So there's a little bit less risk of impermanent loss. So that might make you feel more comfortable providing liquidity for it. But again, in the end, you got to make kind of your own risk assessment. It's hard. It's hard for me to say what would be an acceptable APR for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's an interesting one from Chris. Not a very fair experiment. People trade where there's a liquidity. V2 launch. V1 had 300 million LP. No one's incentivized to move LP to V2 farms. Winning by default. What do you think about that? Is V1 winning by default, not merit?
I think V1 is winning by merit because if you looked when the bug was found, obviously there were some people that were upset. Most of them were providing liquidity for non-rigid hard tokens, but I think the core community of PulseChain was in favor of 100% buy and burn. So when they found out that it's going to 100% buy and burn, bullish, like that was the thing that was going on Twitter, right? So V1 is winning by default partly because it was the only version that was available, but version 2 is open, and if version 2 was going to win by merit, then people would move from version 1 to version 2, and we haven't seen that.
One from Blackwing: the multiple should come down over time. All other dexes do that. That's funny too. I was thinking of I've heard of other dexes that are launching in the RH ecosystem too, and maybe this is like dex season. That's like the new thing, and they're going to come out and do all the farms. So it's going to be this whole play on that. But I think that and the single-sided staking, I think you can make a case that it could remove a lot of the people who are staking here and actually increase APY for the people who are using the farms on PulseX. So I think there's a case for that because they're going to be chasing, they could be chasing all the other, 10,000% APY on other stuff that launches, or they could be just taking their PulseX and or buying a bunch of PulseX and doing single-sided staking because they want to earn the new distribution coins of stuff that's going to be launching. So it'll be, a lot of people don't like it, the new dexes and stuff, and I think there's, to everything that has downsides, I think there's some upsides to them too if you look hard enough. Graphics, I guess, depend on why the APR's lowering strategy changes depending on because farm multiplier reduced, LPRs increased. Yeah, I think, and that's what we've seen too. I've seen the APRs go up and down. Again, WBTC used to be 600 some percent just a few days ago. These used to be 300%, I believe. And then this one went down a lot. It used to be 70 or 80%. And you see it's went up and down too. So will they go back up? Will they go back down? Hard to say.
I think too, part of the APR percentage is, so I mean, it's all calculated in US dollar value, right? So at some point INC was, like $70, $80. That's going to like drastically boost up what the projected APY was, because obviously a single INC, if you're making a single INC then, it was like $70, $80. If you're making a single INC today, it's like $20. So the APRs looked very large because partly I think the value of INC was also larger at that time. So
yeah,
I don't know if that's true or not too. That's just my opinion, but
yeah, I mean, especially when you can see the difference here. You got, let's say you got 10K to put in. You can put it in the PulseX Pulse Pool, getting $10 a day at the current rate. Could go up and down, and permanent loss, all that stuff. However, if you take that same one and you go to a 4% one and you do 10K, you're looking at 10 times, right? 10 times, 11 times as much. So there's a permanent loss risk. Obviously, if you like both these coins, maybe it doesn't matter. If the price starts to go run away with this, maybe it makes a difference. You end up with more of one you don't like. If you don't understand permanent loss, please understand it before you try to make these risk decisions. However, I said this the other day too. I think, what do you think about so the biggest worry in these, other than if it's a Richard Hart token, I believe it's not going to get rugged. So I think that goes away. You can't say that for every farms and every pairs and stuff. But if the biggest risk too is Pulse running away, or PulseX running away, or whatever you want more of on the other side, doesn't that mean that you would believe that it will run away and it can run away and it's going to do that soon in this environment? If you don't think that's going to happen, wouldn't that make you feel more comfortable providing in some of these pairs because you don't think it's going to do the 10,000x anytime soon? That sort of thing. Like, do you factor that into your decision, Julian?
I do actually. So I think there's a really solid use case for so again, this is like my first time providing liquidity. So I really went over like trying to figure out like, why would anybody want to, how would they justify the risk from providing liquidity for a stable? And then it dawned on me, okay, so let's say that prices remain fairly stagnant, or you're expecting kind of the price to drop, but you want to buy more Pulse, or you want to buy more PulseX or whatever. But you're expecting the price to go down. So that's kind of like a prediction on the user's part, right? They're predicting that the price is going to go down, and they're going to take a risk by providing liquidity with the stablecoin. And what happens is, because the stablecoin is like a solid value, right? As PulseX or Pulse slightly drops in price, the balance tips over to Pulse or PulseX. So you have less DAI or less USDC, and you have more Pulse or PulseX as that price drops. And then when you're like, okay, I think the market's going to recover, you could pull your liquidity out there and provide it in another pair. I think it's just another tool that can be used if you're expecting the market to maybe go into like a bear market, but you don't want to sell. You just want to make more money. It's like I don't know. I think it's got its use case. It is risky though, because it's like you're relying on a prediction that might not be 100% accurate. Like PulseX could run away, and then you're left with like, if one more use case, hear me out here. Let's say that you were dead set, like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna cash out this $10,000. I know I'm going to cash out this $10,000. Like nothing is going to make me not cash it out. So if I provide liquidity to a stable coin and Pulse, and Pulse suddenly takes off, it doesn't matter. I'm still providing $10,000 of liquidity, right? I have less Pulse if I were to pull my liquidity, but I'm still earning ink off of money that I wanted to kind of lock in per se. I don't know. At least that's like my personal views on it. I think it does have a use case. I'm not utilizing it at the moment.
Gotcha. Ben Jerry, PulseX is not cake. Pancake Swap only has one token that inflates forever. We have 2 tokens. There is 2 tokens. That's true. That is true. But and a lot of people do single-sided staking, I think, with Pancake Swap, and it's like the airdrop distribution thing, I guess. Hence the master contract. Yeah. All right, everyone.
I can't wait for single-sided staking.
It's going to be, I was really excited for it, and then I think still when it comes, I'm going to. I'm actually, so here's my thing. I'm actually more excited for other people to use it and to take my APY up on the farms than I am for me to use it. Like that's how much I like these farms and INC and stuff. I was going to dedicate some PulseX to it and do that. But now I'm like, I would really like these farms to stay at hundreds of %. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But the projects now, if Alex from Hedron starts a distribution on there, like that's different than like some random coin that's going to be meme territory or something, or some other unknown founder. So if I see well-known founders launching, distributing coins via single-sided staking, that would make me more interesting, and it would make me more excited about it.
Yeah, well, there will only be 2 options, right? They've got to buy more PulseX so that they can do single-sided staking, or 2, they've got to remove themselves from the liquidity pool so that they can provide that, or they've got to take economic energy from another coin and swap it into PulseX. So I'm excited, and I'm curious what PulseX will look like, and if single-sided staking is half as successful as INC has been, I will be very happy as well. I think everybody will.
I think so too. I think it's going to bring in a huge portion of people. I think that's been even more than LP. I think LP is more of a, not whales game, but I don't know, dolphins, turtles, sharks, whales game. It's more people who have capital and want to compound it and okay with the permanent loss and all that stuff. And they want the other token. They want INC. They believe in all this stuff. And I think that the single-sided staking is going to be more for people who just want new tokens. Like there's a lot of people out there who love new shiny objects, no matter what they are. They love earning a lot of a new thing. And there's a huge portion of crypto that loves doing that. And why not come to the fairest, best platform to do it? I guess that's the selling point. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Appreciate you, Ben and Jerry. God, you're making me hungry. I'm supposed to be fasting for lunch right now, and I keep seeing Ben and Jerry right now. So good. And thanks for graphics, and thanks for Sloth for coming as well. Everyone, Dev Juyung. He's pretty awesome. Go to hsiwatch.com, at Dev Juyung on Twitter. Where is that? You got OnlyFans. Where can people find you when they want to get to know you better?
I'm on Telegram. I'm on Twitter. And I'm occasionally on your streams, so
appreciate that.
I'm hsiwatch.com. But again, people reach out to me all the time. I'm very open. So if anybody just wants to reach out or just say hi, feel free.
If you're throwing an ink barbecue, invite Dev Juyung. he will come there and celebrate with you. It'll be fun. You can talk about APRs, and I love it, man. Yeah, I like that you've been tweeting more about it. I'm trying. Again, I try to I keep a lot of stuff to myself. I'm not public of every thought that even though I think there's some interesting stuff to come out. I try to unFOMO myself. I try to be the calm, collective sort of thing. But I do like this outlet of getting on stream and talking about ink with a fellow Inkian who believes it's not the Nut Forever token. Feels good
The
to talk about it.
Inkians is the official term for farmers.
We should have a poll. Maybe I'll do a poll. There you go. I'm gonna do a poll. I'm gonna say what should ink holders be called? Inkites, Inkians, or otherwise. I'm gonna do that as soon as we get off.
Yes,
a lot of this shit. How's the raspberry?
Yeah,
now the Power Rangers meme immediately goes to my head as soon as you say that. SJS, how's the raspberry? I messaged you. I DM'd you. I was like, hey, the raspberry it was very sour. I got so after my fast, the first thing I ate was a raspberry, and I was like breaking it with a few raspberries. And as soon as I had it, after not having food for 2 days, all the flavors were intensified. It was just like a really cool moment of like relationship with food type of thing. I was like, oh man, this is good. This is like, even though I think the raspberry is already a little bit too sour, but like the flavors that came out, it's like it's like my body was like needing to feel that connection again. And it had a connection, and it was like, oh, this is good. This is pure. This is natural. It was a cool experience. So that's how the raspberry tasted. It was very, very good. And then I went and smashed ate some eggs and egg, spinach, green onion omelet.
Ooh.
And I had like it was really tasty after all that, which has like almost no carbs. So I was like still low energy, but I was like, oh, I ate something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when I was on keto, my wife thought I was going to kill myself because of all the salt water I was drinking and all of the bacon I was consuming like every morning.
Yeah, I skipped the salt water because I did electrolyte powder, so I didn't have to do salt water. So next time, if you're interested, check that stuff out. Not nutrition advice, but it worked for me. Yeah. All right, everyone. That's all we got. Great stream. Appreciate you all coming. Look out for my Twitter poll, which Ju Young just kicked off as well. And yeah, man, I appreciate you coming. It's a great stream. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it.
Scivive and 5555. We are out. New outro. Check it out.